Imagine this. The scoreboard says you are finished. The fans are leaving the stadium. The commentators are already talking like the game is over. Your opponents are celebrating too early. And then, everything changes. In sports, winning is hard. But winning after everyone believes you are dead and buried, that is different. That is why comebacks stay in history longer than normal victories. Because a comeback is not just about skill. It is about pressure, panic, mistakes, belief, and sometimes, one moment that flips the entire story. Peak selects Carolina Hosgelders. Today, we are counting down the greatest comebacks in sports history. Some of these teams were losing by impossible margins. Some had only seconds left. Some were down in an entire series. But somehow, they still found a way to win. Let's start. Number 10. Manchester United vs Bayern Munich, 1999 Champions League Final. For almost the entire match, Bayern Munich looked like the champion. They scored early, they controlled the game, and as the clock reached 90 minutes, Manchester United was still losing 1-0. This was not just any match. This was the Champions League final. One game, one trophy, no second chance. Bayern was so close that the ribbons on the trophy were reportedly already being prepared in their colours. Then injury time began. In the 91st minute, Manchester United won a corner. The ball came into the box, chaos followed, and Teddy Sheringham scored. 1-1. Suddenly, Bayern were no longer champions. Suddenly, they were in shock. But United were not finished. Just 2 minutes later, another corner came in. Sheringham flicked it on, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reacted first, and the ball hit the roof of the net. 2-1 Manchester United. In only a few minutes, Bayern went from holding the trophy to losing everything. That is why this comeback still feels unreal. Manchester United did not slowly fight back. They waited until the final seconds, and stole the final. Number 9. Reggie Miller vs the New York Knicks, 1995. This one was not a full match comeback. It was even crazier. It was a comeback inside the final seconds. The Indiana Pacers were playing the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks were ahead by 6 points with less than 9 seconds left. In basketball, that should be over. You foul, you protect the ball, you run out the clock. Simple, but Reggie Miller had other plans. First, he hit a three-pointer. Now the lead was only 3. Then, almost instantly, the Knicks lost the ball. Miller got it again, stepped back behind the three-point line, and hit another 3. Tie game. Madison Square Garden went silent. Then Miller was fouled. He went to the free throw line and made both shots. 8 points in 8.9 seconds. The Pacers won 107-105. That is the kind of sequence that sounds fake if you only read it. A 6-point lead disappeared before the Knicks could even understand what was happening. Number 8. Buffalo Bills vs Houston Oilers, 1993. This game is literally known as the comeback. The Buffalo Bills were playing the Houston Oilers in an NFL playoff game. And at one point, the Bills were losing 35-3. 35-3. In American football, a deficit like that is almost a death sentence, especially in the playoffs. The starting quarterback, Jim Kelly, was injured. Backup quarterback Frank Reich was in the game. The crowd had very little reason to believe anything was possible. But then Buffalo started scoring. One touchdown, then another, then another. The Oilers began to panic. The Bills began to believe. The stadium changed completely. Buffalo scored 28 points in the third quarter alone. The game eventually went to overtime, and the Bills won 41-38. From 35-3 down to a playoff victory. At the time, it was the largest comeback in NFL history, and it still remains one of the most shocking postseason comebacks ever. Number 7. Barcelona vs PSG, 2017. In the first leg of the Champions League tie, Paris Saint-Germain destroyed Barcelona 4-0. 4 goals down, against a top European team. Most people believed the tie was over. Not difficult. Over. Barcelona needed to do something no team had ever done before in the Champions League knockout stage, overturn a 4-0 first leg deficit. At Camp Nou, Barcelona started fast. They scored early, then another came, then Messi made it 3-0 from the penalty spot. Suddenly, it was close. But then Edinson Cavani scored for PSG. That away goal changed everything. Now Barcelona needed 3 more goals. 3 goals, late in the match, against PSG. Again, it looked finished. But in the final minutes, Neymar scored a free kick. Then Neymar scored a penalty. And in the last moments, Sergi Roberto made a run into the box, stretched his leg, and scored. Barcelona won 6-1. On aggregate, they won 6-5. It was dramatic, chaotic, controversial to some fans, but historically massive. One of the wildest nights the Champions League has ever seen. Number 6. Liverpool vs Barcelona, 2019. Barcelona were 3-0 up after the first leg. They had Lionel Messi. They had control. They had the advantage. Liverpool were missing key attackers. Mohamed Salah was out. Roberto Firmino was out. On paper, Liverpool looked damaged. But Anfield is not a normal stadium on European nights. Liverpool scored early through Divock Origi, 1-0. Then in the second half, Jorginho Wijnaldum came on and changed everything. He scored once, then almost immediately he scored again. 3-3 on aggregate. Barcelona looked frozen. Liverpool looked possessed. Then came the moment everyone remembers. A corner. Trent Alexander-Arnold walked away like he was leaving it, then suddenly turned back and took it quickly. Barcelona switched off for 1 second. Origi did not. He finished it. Liverpool 4-0 Barcelona. Aggregate score, 4-3. This comeback was not only about goals. It was about awareness, speed, mentality. One quick corner exposed an entire team. Barcelona had the lead. Liverpool had the belief. And belief won. Number 5. Oracle Team USA vs Emirates Team New Zealand, 2013 America's Cup. This one is not football, basketball, or American football, but it deserves to be here. In the 2013 America's Cup, Oracle Team USA were losing 8-1 against Emirates Team New Zealand. The first team to 9 wins would take the trophy. That means New Zealand needed only 1 more win. Oracle needed 8 straight. 8. In a high-level sailing competition, that sounds impossible. 1 mistake, 1 bad start, 1 tactical error, and the comeback is dead. But Oracle kept surviving. Race by race, they improved. Their boat speed got better. Their tactics got sharper. The pressure shifted. At first, everyone was waiting for New Zealand to finish the job. Then suddenly, everyone was watching Oracle chase history. 8-2, 8-3, 8-4, then 8-5. The gap kept closing. By the final race, the entire story had flipped. New Zealand went from almost champions to trying not to collapse. Oracle won the final race and completed the comeback, 9-8. From 8-1 down to champions. This is one of the greatest series comebacks in any sport because there was no room for error. Oracle had to be perfect again and again. And somehow, they were. Number 4. Boston Red Sox vs New York Yankees, 2004. In baseball, no team had ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in a best-of-7 postseason series. Then came the Boston Red Sox, against their biggest rival, the New York Yankees. The Yankees won the first 3 games of the 2004 American League Championship Series. Boston were 1 loss away from elimination. And this was not just a sports problem. This was history. The Red Sox had not won the World Series since 1918. Their fans lived with decades of pain, near misses, and disappointment. Game 4 looked like the end. Boston were trailing in the 9th inning, 3 outs away from being swept. Then Kevin Miller walked. Dave Roberts came in as a pinch runner. Everyone knew he would try to steal second. He went anyway. Safe. That steal changed everything. The Red Sox tied the game, won it in extra innings, then won Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7. They became the first MLB team to win a postseason series after trailing 3-0. Then they went on to win the World Series. This was not just a comeback. It was a curse-breaking moment. Number 3. Cleveland Cavaliers vs Golden State Warriors, 2016 NBA Finals. The Golden State Warriors had just completed a 73-win regular season, the best regular season record in NBA history. They had Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, a system that felt almost impossible to stop. And in the NBA Finals, they led the Cleveland Cavaliers 3-1. No team had ever come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals. Cleveland needed 3 straight wins. 2 of them would be on Golden State's court. That is why this looked impossible. Then LeBron James and Kyrie Irving took over. Game 5, Cavaliers win. Game 6, Cavaliers win again. Now everything came down to Game 7. The score was tied late in the 4th quarter when Andre Iguodala had a fast break layup. It looked like Golden State were about to take the lead. Then LeBron chased him down. The block, one of the most famous defensive plays in basketball history. Moments later, Kyrie Irving hit the 3 over Stephen Curry. Cleveland won the game. The Cavaliers became the first team in NBA Finals history to come back from 3-1 down. For Cleveland, it was also the city's first major sports championship in 52 years. That is why this comeback is bigger than basketball. Number 2. Liverpool vs AC Milan, 2005 Champions League Final. The miracle of Istanbul. At halftime, AC Milan were leading Liverpool 3-0. And not by accident. Milan looked better, faster, more experienced. They had Paolo Maldini, Kaká, Andrea Pirlo, Clarence Seedorf, Andriy Shevchenko, Hernan Crespo. This was not a weak team losing control. This was one of the strongest teams in Europe. Liverpool looked finished. A Champions League final, 3 goals down, against Milan. Then the second half began. Steven Gerrard scored with a header. 3-1. He lifted his arms, asking the crowd and his teammates to believe. Then Vladimir Šmica scored from distance. 3-2. Now Milan were nervous. Then Gerrard won a penalty. Xabi Alonso stepped up. His penalty was saved, but he reacted quickly and scored the rebound. 3-3. Liverpool had scored 3 goals in just a few minutes. The match went to extra time. Milan still had chances. Shevchenko had a huge opportunity, but Jerzy Dudek somehow kept it out. Then came penalties. Liverpool won, from 3-0 down at half-time to European champions. That is why Istanbul 2005 is not just a match. It is a football myth that actually happened. Number 1. New England Patriots vs Atlanta Falcons, Super Bowl 51. The score was 28-3. Atlanta were leading New England in the Super Bowl. Not in the first quarter. Not early in the game. Deep enough that millions of people believed it was over. The Falcons had speed, momentum, and control. The Patriots looked beaten. Tom Brady was under pressure. The game felt one-sided. Then the comeback began. A field goal, a touchdown, a defensive stop, another score. Slowly, the number 28-3 stopped looking like a score and started looking like a warning. Atlanta had chances to finish it. They could have managed the clock. They could have protected the ball better. But the pressure changed everything. The Patriots kept coming. Then James White scored late, and New England tied the game 28-28. For the first time in Super Bowl history, the game went to overtime. At that point, it felt inevitable. The Patriots won the coin toss. Brady drove them down the field. James White scored again. Final score, Patriots 34, Falcons 28. From 28-3 down to Super Bowl champions. It was the largest comeback in Super Bowl history. And that is why it takes the number 1 spot. Because this was not just a comeback. It was a collapse, a survival story, and a championship all in one. Thoughts are never over until they're actually over. A team can dominate for 90 minutes and still lose in stoppage time. A series can look finished and still flip completely. A scoreboard can say 28-3. And somehow, the other team can still win. That is why we remember comebacks more than normal victories. Because they prove one thing. The most dangerous team is not always the team that is winning. Sometimes, it is the team that has nothing left to lose. Thank you for watching Peak Select. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe.